Parkinson's Law. Tasks take the time allotted to them. Now, how does this fit in with the extended essay and the IB? Simple. You have 18 months to complete the extended essay. That's 2 years around. Now, what you want to do is finish it in the first year of the IB, or what we used to call IB1. Why? Because IB2 is hell. IB1 is really easy compared to IB2. However, there is a steep learning curve when it comes to starting the IB, which is why the first year of the IB or IB1 seems so much harder than IB2. But in reality, you want to make this learning curve less steep so you can start doing things early, like the extended essay and like CAS. So let's focus on the extended essay for this video and see how I managed to not only fulfill it fast and easily, but to be one of the best people in my grade and to get some money out of it as well. Well, there's 7 things I did that you can follow that I'm going to tell you right now so that you can also maximize your extended essay performance and achieve the best you can and probably get your extended essay done and be very good at it too. The first of the 7 tips I have for putting out the best extended essay you can is being productive. And by this, I mean just doing it. You have to do it, so just face it. Commit to writing 100 words a day, every day, and you'll have the first draft in no time. Commit to writing 200 and it'll be even less. Commit to writing a page. Just sitting down and writing whatever your limit you set yourself is enough for you to produce not only a good extended essay, but a good extended essay fast. And then once you've written all of it, you can commit to polishing it. And if you look at 1 page a day or 2 pages a day or just the introduction, or just commit and set yourself goals and just do them. Because if you don't do them, guess what? You're gonna suffer. And no, that isn't a threat. Do you know why you're gonna suffer? Because you're gonna have to do it eventually. But you just pushing back the deadlines mean you're just giving yourself less time to do it. So I repeat, just do it. Now, the second one is manage your time. I'm gonna tell you how you can enforce your own time management and how, actionable tips on how to manage your time. So you have 2 years, or exactly around 18 months, to write 4,000 words. Now, 4,000 words seems and sounds like a lot, but it really isn't that much, especially when you take into consideration that 18 months equals 13,140 hours. Now that's a lot of hours for not a lot of words. The trouble arises because you have all this time. It's the fact that you have so much time that becomes the problem. Have you ever heard of Parkinson's Law? Parkinson's Law simply states that work expands to fill the time available until its completion. Now, what does this mean? It means that if you have 13,000 hours to complete the extended essay, that's probably what it's going to take. So how do you go around, or how do you circumvent Parkinson's Law? It's simple. You give yourself less time. How? By giving yourself deadlines, or by having somebody give you deadlines. Now, that doesn't mean that if you give yourself a day to write 4,000 words, it's automatically going to happen. You have to give yourself reasonable deadlines, but at the same time, you have to be strict with them and you have to stick by them. How do you stick by them and don't just dismiss them? You give yourself incentives. So basically what I've done is say, for example, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 month to write the whole body of the extended essay. That's enough time for me to research, to write, and to more or less polish it so I can have a reasonable first draft. And if I don't, I'm gonna give you, a friend or a teacher or charity or whatever, X amount of money. So that way, and it has to be enough money so that it hurts you, right? There has to be the pain of loss. So basically, you're now incentivized to meet that deadline, or you're gonna be missing X amount of money. And that way you're incentivized and you're probably gonna stick to the deadline. You can give them your gaming console or your iPad or your phone or something until you until you meet your own deadline. Now, this doesn't only work with friends. You can ask your teacher, sir or ma'am, if I don't meet the deadline by X date, put me in detention, please. And that way you're gonna be incentivized and you're gonna meet it. And you just have to keep doing that, giving yourself reasonable but strict deadlines. They have to be reasonable, because if it's too long, then Parkinson's law will come into effect and work will expand to fill the time it's been allotted. But if they're too short or if it's not enough time, then you'll just be punished and punished and punished, and you won't have any motivation to keep going because you'll get used to being punished. So reasonable but strict deadlines is the way forward and the way to manage your time effectively when it comes to tasks that are totally in your control and they're totally up to you. The third tip is one that might sound counterintuitive, but it only applies to the first draft and to things that you're doing pre-revising or polishing your extended essay. And it's be willing to do it badly. There's this podcast I was listening to that said, perfection is the enemy of good. And for the first draft, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be there. It's way easier to revise than to write from scratch. So just write and write and write and write. And then you can, if you write 500 words, you might have to cut down and you'll be stuck with 200 good words. But it's better than being like, I'll have to think about the first 200 good words and just be stuck there. It's way easier to just overcome that first initial activation energy, which is the hardest part, just overcoming that first obstacle of starting. Because once you start, it'll just flow. Commit to writing 200 words and just go for it. They don't have to be good words, they don't have to be perfect words, they don't have to be formal. Just write things you want in the extended essay, and then you can revise them and you can make them better. But the trick is just to start, and to start as soon as possible. Just do it badly, just do it. That's my point. Do it badly, but do it. Once you've done it, edit it, revise it, rewrite it, but do it and put words on paper, and then you can work on the words. But it's way easier to work on bad words than to work on no words at all. Something I used to do was that I committed to writing 250 words without using the backspace button. Now, this was weird at first because it was full of typos, it was full of messy sentences, but once I did this and I just started bashing out 250 words, after 250 words, I would start using the backspace key to write better, but already the ideas and the creative juices were flowing, and it was way easier to just keep going after 250 words. And on the days I didn't feel like writing 250 words, I would just go back to the first day and revise the first 250 words I had written without the backspace button. I would correct, I would make them grammatically correct, etc. And that was something else I could do without writing. And out of the 250 words, I was usually left with around 100 words tops, because the rest was just not working or it was repetitive or something. But it's something, and it's a way to get started. So find your way to get started and just get started. Just do it, put it down on the paper, and then you can work on it, then you can obsess on it. But just put it down on paper and do it. So something else, and this is dependent on the subject you're choosing for your extended essay, is having, or something that really helped me was having the facility of the measurements around me. Now, what do I mean? I mean that my subject was design technology, and what I was doing was redesigning my boarding school room so it was wheelchair friendly or wheelchair accessible. And before that, I had wanted to do a history extended essay on a tragedy that had happened here in Mexico in 1968. But as I was talking to the history teacher, he told me, fine, once you go to Mexico, you're gonna have to go and take pictures and interview people and look for records. And that sounded exhausting to me. Whereas for design technology, since I was redesigning my own room, all I had to do was measure my room. And having all my data there, as soon as I rolled out of bed and pulled out a ruler or something, it was way easier. Since I was focusing on wheelchairs, I even brought a wheelchair from the hospital and I sat down on it, and I actually was in my wheelchair around my room for around an hour and a half, just looking at what worked and what didn't. And having access to all my measurements and to all my data just as soon as I got out of bed and into the wheelchair was completely changed the game, because I didn't even have to Google things. So that was a complete game changer. And just choose your subject carefully, and if you're slightly lazy like I can be, or just kind of like meh, just having all your data around you and constantly looking at your room and thinking, oh, maybe this is not accessible, maybe that is not accessible, maybe this works, maybe this doesn't, was a complete game changer for my extended essay in particular. And that's something I can really recommend. Just make everything as easy for yourself as you can, and it'll change the game completely. Next is prioritization. And of course, this is again something everybody says, but you really need the extended essay. It's like CAS or TOK. You need it, NEED capital letters. It is necessary to pass the IB. You can have straight 7s, you can have the best grades, but if you don't have the extended essay, you can't have your IB diploma. So you need it, and you need to act like you need it. You need to act like it is a necessary component of the IB. So maybe put your spare time into it. Devote to half an hour every day, or 15 minutes every day, or 1 hour every day. Finish it in the first year. You'll thank yourself immensely in the second year, and just do it basically. Maybe instead of going out every weekend, go every other weekend, and that one weekend you're not going out, just pour everything, all your energy into the extended essay. Maybe you can go out, but only after you've written 250 words, or 300, or 500, or revised 750 words, or finished the bibliography, etc. Just, you need to act like the IB is as important as it really is, and you have to realize how important it is. It can be 3 extra points for your IB diploma. That's the difference between getting into the university you want and your heart desires, and getting into your last option university, or not getting into any university. It's important, and it's 3 relatively easy points. So make sure you try and get them, and to prioritize just putting the time and the effort into the extended essay, because it demands time and effort and brain power, but you can do it, and you really need to do it. Now, this is a recommendation again on subjects like the two tips ago, and it's having a good topic you enjoy. Now, one of the reasons it was so easy for me to prioritize and manage my time was because I enjoyed working on my extended essay. And you're probably thinking, well, he probably means he knew he had to do it, and that's why he's saying he enjoyed it. But what I actually mean to say is that I genuinely enjoyed, and I liked, and it made me happy and satisfied to sit down at my computer and to type away and to revise and to look at the pictures I had taken, and etc. Why? Because I knew my extended essay was gonna help somebody. Even if it was just a school, I knew it was bound to make a difference. Because basically my extended essay was on helping people. I was making something more accessible to wheelchair users, and that was a reward in itself. It was because I enjoyed it so much that I was able to work on it so tirelessly, and to tweak it and perfect it, and to stare at it for hours and hours on end, trying to make it as perfect as I could once I had written the bulk of it. So my tip here is pick something you enjoy. If your teacher is like, okay, do my subject because it's really easy, but you hate that specific subject, then don't do it, even if it is the easiest. Because mine was super easy, but I think it was super easy because I liked it. If I hadn't liked it, if it had been easy in general, but if it had been like a complete chore for me, I don't think I would have gotten an A on it, or a B. I might have gotten a C or a D. Right? I knew kids that went into English, for example, being like, oh, it's super easy, and like 2,000 words in, they were done, and they had nothing to say anymore because there was no passion there. There's nothing more they could say or wanted to say. Whereas I was struggling to keep it within the 4,000 word limit. So do something you enjoy. It's a reward in itself, and the A you get at the end will be even more rewarding. Make something unique. When you think about it, basically anyone can write anything about World War II, or about Pearl Harbor, or about Hamlet, or can break down scenes in Julius Caesar, or discuss Dickinson's poems. Anybody can do that in a sense. It takes something different to stand out and to really get those high marks or high grades. My extended essay was completely unique. Now, I don't mean broadly, because I'm sure a lot of extended essays have dealt with redesigning spaces to make them more accessible. I mean that within my school, I was the only extended essay that was on the subject of design technology. I was the only one redesigning a room. I was the only person making a room more accessible, and I was the only person making it more accessible to wheelchairs. So it was unique, and and I know that it was unique in the world because if nobody else in my school was redesigning a room, then nobody else in the whole entire world was redesigning the room I was redesigning. And that means that I found every problem with the room, and I found every solution, and I was the only person in the whole world that was banging my head against the wall trying to figure out if I should have a ramp or have the door open outward instead of inward or lower the curtains or anything like that. I was the one person in the whole world that was trying to fix this problem that I had identified myself. And that makes it really valuable. That made my extended essay really valuable and really unique, and it made it stand out. So don't just do something because it's easier because you know it. Do something that'll create value. Do something unique and do something different, and it'll pay off. I completely believe that, and I guarantee it. And I'm really thankful I did that, and I'm really thankful for the teachers that pushed me and that helped me. But even then, with the teachers helping me, there was nothing I could fall back on because my extended essay was so unique. Because if you're writing on Frankenstein, there's probably a few dozen analyses of Frankenstein, from extended essay to like thesis, etc. Whereas there's no handbook for how to redesign something. And that really made me creative in how I solved the problems and how I approached or tackled the problems. So that was something else. If there's any takeaway from this video, it's just do it. Just sit down and do it, and make it unique and make it good. Oh, and give it the importance it deserves, because it definitely is important and it matters. So yeah, if you guys have any specific questions about my extended essay or the extended essay as a whole, feel free to reach out in the comments, shoot me an email, link in the description, or on social media around here somewhere, and or in the description. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for commenting, liking, and subscribing. If you're doing the IB, well, first of all, I wish you the best of luck, but also I'll leave a link up here in the corner about my playlist on the IB. So make sure you check that out, because it's bound to be helpful to you. And yeah, cheers guys.